everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to start a new odd jobs and small project videos, and we've got an interesting job to start with. See that over there? I hope none of my neighbors saw me. That was pretty embarrassing. Had to use the old 53 Ferguson to drag our Minty Mint B-Series Kubota back to the garage after it died over there in the ditch when I was mowing. So I'll show you what I'm up against so far. We've determined that from cranking it and looking at the exhaust, there was no smoke whatsoever coming out, which is usually a telltale sign that there's no fuel. So you flick the ignition on, it says there's half a tank. And, well, I took the cap off and looked down it, and for sure there's half a tank of fuel in it. So, this thing gravity feeds down through the filter here and up to the fuel injection pump. Well, I've got this line off, and well, you can plainly see there's nothing coming out of it, and there's half a tank of fuel in this thing. So something's plugged somewhere. So what we got to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Mighty Vac on here and see if there's a glob of algae or something in the bottom of the tank. Sometimes you might be able to pull it through. I'll see if I can pull it through. If not, we're going to have to get into this thing and get the dash apart and pull the tank out and clean it, and oh boy, that's a big kettle of fish. Okay, we'll see what this does. And of course, it did it just as I charged into a great big pile of tall, wet grass. And it quit. So as soon as that happens, you start thinking to yourself, "Oh, well, did it just plug the deck or what?" Anyway, so let's see. We're drawing a pretty good vacuum on here, and look, there is nothing coming out. Oh, there we go. Got it. It's flowing good now. Alrighty. So I've got this lifted up higher than the fuel level to stop the siphon. And what we got to do now is I quickly have to pull this out of here and get this hose stuck back on the filter head. On the bottom side of the filter head, you can see there that little plunger. So as long as the actual filter element is unscrewed from here, the fuel won't all come pouring out of here. So that's okay. We just got to get the line stuck back on it quickly. I'm going to need both hands for that, so I'll be back in a sec. And you can see right there in the jug, that's the blob of guck that it pulled out of that fuel line. See if we can see what it is. Yeah, it's just a blob of guck, a blob of diesel fuel guck. Yuck. And that was enough to plug the outlet of the fuel tank. So now I'll show you about this. See if we push the little valve under here, see the fuel flows. So what we'll do is we'll get this filter stuck back on there, and when it contacts that plunger, it'll let the fuel start flowing. You leave it for a second so it kind of purges the air out of the filter, and then you tighten it up the rest of the way. So here, I'll show you. As soon as I push it up, you can see the fuel starting to flow. You leave it there for a second, let it purge the air out, and then tighten it up. There. Now we'll try to start the thing and see how much fuel ended up, or see how much air ended up in our lines. All right, let's see what happens here. I'm sure it'll take some amount of cranking to get it going, but we'll give it some glow plug so it's got all the help it can get. Oh, look, there's a little smoke. There's a little smoke. She's trying. She's trying. It's got to purge all that air out. There she goes. All right. Kubota's back. Here's our next little project. This is the 9-end carcass we bought the other day off Marketplace. It came with the front axle, so I've gone around and scrounged up some stuff. I found a wheel to put on the back. I've got a pair of hubs to put on the front and a couple of front wheels, and I've got an old oil pan over there on the floor. So we're going to go ahead and at least get this thing so it's got 4 wheels and we can roll it around. That just makes life so much easier. Well, we're moving right along here. We've got the front of it, got the axle and everything back on. Now I've found a pair of hubs to stick on it. We'll get some hubs on it and get some front wheels on it. and we'll go from there. All right, it's got front wheels. Now we got to do something about getting this back one off. And you can see here, this may have been a problem ever since this tire was put on. When, you know, there's the bead of the tire, but it caught the tube, you know. I don't know if that was leaking there over the years. Like the guy, every time he had to go use the tractor, he'd have to put air in it. Who knows? But that's something you want to try and avoid when you're putting a tire on. Okay, let's get this thing jacked up and see if it's going to come apart. Well, that was a party. And it's never good when your tractor wheel leaves a mess like that on the floor. These are parts of the wheel. So here's our wheel. It's kind of grim. It's pretty punky there. The bead here is gone. The band is out of it, but that's pretty normal. The band is always gone. That's easy to fix. You just get some 2-inch wide steel. You don't have to form it like they did. I just lay it flat on here and weld it against there, and I've never had a problem yet. This wheel, as bad as it looks, it's a 32-inch wheel that they haven't made any of since like 1941. So you don't just go and throw this out, because maybe tomorrow we'll find another rotted one that we could cut sections out of to repair this one. They're that hard to find. So we'll just, it's not going to rot anymore because we got the tire and everything off it. There's nothing on it to retain moisture now. So we'll just go throw this in the shed and let it be. There's all the junk that came out of that wheel with my foot beside it for scale. Oh boy. I got my 5/8 fine chaser and fixed up the ends of all the wheel bolts because some of them took a little bit of a beating. They came out via air chisel. Oh man. That was a lot of racket. So now we're going to go ahead. We're going to put this wheel together and put it back on. It's going to look a little goofy because it'll have a 32 on that side and a 28 on this side, but that's what we got, so that's what's going on. It's just to roll the thing around. Okay, there she is, back rolling. I just want to double check the air pressures in those two back tires, and we can get this thing out of here and move on to something else. Here's our next little job. When we were out picking up that auction stuff yesterday, I noticed you can kind of see it here. Looking in the mirror of the van, the trailer was leaning over to the right a little bit. And I thought, that's weird. And then I got out and looked at it and found out that this wheel ain't in the middle of the fender no more. Then I looked down and saw that. That's the main leaf of the spring. Our spring, she broken. So, well, that's not good. So, when we brought that old 9N home from Chatham, coming out of Chatham, the road was really bad. And I hit a few really nasty potholes. And I kind of wonder if one of them broke the spring. Not 100% sure. I can't, nail down the exact moment that it broke. But it doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead. We got 2 new springs and new shackles and new bushings. We'll just put a pair of springs in it and be done with it. Here's our parts. These are the 4-leaf trailer springs. So they've got a 1750 weight rating on them, which is, in a pair, it's 3,500, right? So for this thing's got a 3,500 pound axle in it. So those are the springs we need. We've got a U-bolt kit because, who knows if they'll come off in one piece or not. It's just easier. At least I know I've got it. And a shackle kit, same story on those. The old ones may come out, no problem, but they also may not. Moving right along here, we got the U-bolts off. And this is why you buy new stuff if you live in the salt belt. That's what happens to them when they come off. It just destroys itself, right? I think this one was a little better, but not much. And then once we get the nuts off the shackles and the spring eyes, these bolts have a spline on the other end. There's a spline under the head, which draws them in so you can tighten them with only one tool, right? So once we've got the nuts off, we're going to have to get a punch and a hammer, and we'll knock those bolts out, and then that should be it. Our original spring should be out. Oh, and we've got a jack under the axles, of course, so it doesn't fall on the ground. Here you can see the spline under the bolt that keeps it located. we'll hang on to this shackle. If we get the other one out, we'll hang on to it. Doesn't hurt to have a few spare parts, right? This spring, of course, is junk, but we will keep the other spring because it's still in one piece. Put it in the shed. Our car trailer uses these same springs. And you know, I put 4 new springs in the car trailer some years ago. I searched that shed. I can't find the old springs anywhere. So I either used them on something, gave them away, decided I didn't need them and threw them in the bin. Who knows? But anyway, at least we got our new parts. So now we're going to get the new stuff out, get it installed, and at least get this side buttoned up. So here's our new shackle kit installed on the back. Generally, these don't really have a torque value. You just wind them in until you've got the splines pulled in on the back side, and everything is just kind of snug. These are locking nuts. So you just take them up so that there's no play in anything, and that's good. On the front, I forgot to buy 2 new bolts for the front, so we're going to reuse the old ones. That'll be just fine. Now we're going to go ahead and get our U-bolts installed. So before we do that, we make sure we've got the axle. The bottom of the saddle on the axle tube there has got a hole in it that lines up with the center pin on the spring. So we got that engaged. Now we'll get a little anti-seize on these and get that put together. These we will torque. These are going to get torqued up to 60 or 65 maybe. I also forgot to mention, when I took the wheels off, I found this. This is from dragging it home from Sarnia with a broken spring, I guess. You can see here even where it's been touching the frame. That's not good. So thank goodness for once in my life, the trailer tires at Canadian Tire are actually on sale. They're the same price as they are at Princess Auto for once. So instead of having to drive all the way over to bloody Newmarket, Deb's just run up to town. She's going to grab 2 of these for me. And when we put it back together, it'll have 2 new weenies on it. So, I guess we can go ahead now and get all this stuff snugged up. So to do this, rather than the big air gun, I'm going to use my little cordless impact. That'll just give me it'll just go run them down a little bit slower and give me a little bit better feel as to what I'm doing. And then we'll buzz up the U-bolts, get them torqued, and that should be this side done. Here, okay, we've got our lug nut, our U-bolts snugged up, not tight. And just when you're running these things up, just go a bit by bit. You want kind of equal lengths of thread sticking out under the nuts on each one. So that means you're just pulling them down nice and straight. It is possible to whale and whale and whale only on one side and end up with an inch of thread sticking out here and hardly nothing there. And you've got the U-bolt kind of twisted around then, and that's not good. But that there is perfect. So we'll get the torque wrench and we're just going to crisscross and we'll get them torqued up to, I think I'm going to do 65 on these. There's not really a hard and fast rule, you know. It probably, maybe if I read the package, it tells me. We should do that. Absolutely nothing on the package. So we're going to go with Kevin's mechanic intuition and do them at 65. Got the old torque wrench set here. I'll see you when I'm done. Oh, look at that rig. Look at that thing for pulling your 5th wheel. Oh, nice. Anyway, we'll finish this off by zip tying our brake wire to the U-bolt there. And before we put the wheel on, we'll pull this off, squirt some grease in it, and we'll pull the brake away and make sure the brakes work. But we're going to get the other spring changed first before we mess with that stuff. This will be the same deal as the other one. I'll see you when I'm done. Here's a shiny new weenies that Deb went and got us. Beauty. I pulled the breakaway switch at the front of the trailer and we got both brakes locked up. So that's good. Brakes are working. And when we plug it back in, we should hear them release. Yeah, good. We'll just make sure they turn. Yep. Go check the other one. Yep. Okay. Now we'll pull the little rubbers off and shoot some grease in the hubs. Then we can put our wheels on. Got the gauge out. We inflated the tires to 50 PSI because that's what these ones run at. And now, due to the beating this thing must have taken driving around with a broken spring, we're just going to check all our lights. Yeah, license light works. That one works. That one's good. And that one's good. Okay, now we'll let her down. And once it's down with weight on, then we can get the torque wrench and torque the wheels to 90 foot-pounds. Oh, my poor old shoulder. I plumb wore it out. But it's got to keep lasting. If you'll recall, we just wrapped up working on this 1945 2N and found that it was suffering from no oil pressuritis. It's common. It is what it is, right? So we know that the oil pump is actually moving oil because when we start it up stone cold, we get a little bit on the gauge, and then as soon as the oil starts warming up, pretty normal on an old worn out engine. There's not much you can do about it. There's no going in and fixing it. It's going to be like that. But what we can do is the old thick oil trick. So what we're doing, we're just draining out the stuff that we put in it. It's brand new 1540 diesel oil. So we're dumping it into a clean bucket and we'll save it in a jug. And we can use this oil for all kinds of stuff. We can use it for filling air filter cups. We can use it in little oil squirt cans. It won't go to waste. It's literally brand new oil. So I'm just waiting on the oil filter to drain. I took the plug out of the bottom of it. Looks like that's pretty much done now. So we'll replug that and then we'll pull the big plug out of the bottom. And out it comes. That's one big oil drain plug. You got to be ready when you pull that sucker down because it all comes out fast. So I got the plugs back in it, and now it's going to get filled up with straight 50 motor oil. In this case, Pennzoil GT Performance Racing Oil. This stuff's probably about 20 years old, but oil is oil. And 2 jugs of SDP. I've done this before. It helps a little bit. There's nothing, don't get me wrong, that's going to fix, like nothing out of a bottle that's going to fix what's wrong in the bottom end of this engine. But all we can do, we're just going to buy it a little time. So I'll go ahead and get this stuff in. The STP sometimes can be a pain to get out, especially when it's on a cooler day like this. But you let it drain in, and then you top the bottle back up with some motor oil and shake the living snot out of it, and you can get it out that way. We'll start off with a couple of jugs of motor oil so that that's down in the bottom of the pan. You don't want this stuff sitting in the bottom of the pan alone because a weak oil pump may not be able to pull this stuff up. I mean, it's like goo. It increases the viscosity of the oil. So I don't know by what percentage, right? I don't know if it's going to make the 50 weight oil into 60 weight oil, but it might make it into 51 or 52 or something, right? Every little bit's going to help us here. Sometimes people have in these old things, they've put gear lube in the engines to try and keep them going, but I don't think we're at that stage yet. We'll try this. And I got all this stuff for like 12 bucks at the auction or something, so we're going to try it. Here goes the STP. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Anybody know what STP stands for? If you ask a racer, it stands for Stay Together, Please. Yeah, that's what we always thought it stood for. There, we'll just leave that there for a bit. Now we got to go work on the Kubota while these oil jugs drain into this thing. So this video started with our little fuel problem with the Kubota here, and you just saw a drip there. I come out and there's diesel fuel on the ground underneath it. There's another drip, and I thought to myself, why is that leaking? And then I thought, I bet you I know why. And I went back and looked at the footage in my phone of when I did it, and I realized when I put it up, where's the O-ring? There's the O-ring. I found it in the drain bucket. So we got to pull this filter down and put the O-ring in so it stops leaking. What are you going to do? That's what happens sometimes when I'm in a hurry and not paying attention. There we go. That'll probably work a lot better. I'm just guessing here. So we'll do the same drill as before. We'll start screwing it up until it opens the valve. Let it fill the filter and purge the air out of it. And then we'll tighten it up and we should be okay. Alrighty, that looks a lot better. I gotta fire it up now. I gotta go out back and pick up a skid, and I'll put some tires on it and go stash them away. So that'll be its performance test. Okay, let's see what happens here. Give her a little glow plug action. All right, let's go grab a skid. Oh, there was a little blob of air went through it, but we're okay now. The apple trees had all blossomed, but it's been windy today and we had a bit of heavy rain and the blossoms are all coming down. They don't last too long in apple trees, only a couple of days. It looked really nice back here yesterday. And it's getting cold, like the temperature is like plummeting. It was beautiful out this morning. Now it's like cold. The wind is cold. And we're still waiting on some of the oil going in the old loader there. Okay, here's what we gotta pick up. These are the wheels off Nick's 8N. I don't want them hanging around out the front here because I have literally had people pull in my driveway and ask me if I was selling the tractor tires that are leaning against my shop. Because everybody's always looking for tractor tires because they're bloody expensive. And let's not forget that thing was at my neighbor's house and he came there one day and found it sitting on the ground with no wheels. Probably the same son of a bitch that was in my driveway asking me about my wheels. So we'll just get Nick's wheels out of sight and out of mind. Jeez, that's looking worse by the minute. It's beautiful too in its own way, you know. Okay, we'll drop these down right here in front of this old 9N. There. Out of the way of the lawnmower. Perfect. Now we can go put the Kubota away before it gets soaked. I guess our job was successful. It's running good. And I haven't noticed any leaks coming out of it. Look at that, would you? The sky looks like a group of 7 painting. And if only I could figure out why my apple tree only gets blossoms on one side. It did that last year too. Don't ask me. Anyway, we're ready to fire up this 2N, see what happens. Okay, let's fire it up. A lot of times this thing will go without the choke, so I can film it starting up. Okay, let's see if we get any oil pressure. Ah. There it goes. Let's see what we get here. Oh, come on. Okay, it's going to take me 2 hands. I'll be back. Well, I can actually see something on the gauge now, which I could not before. So I'll take it for a little spin and get a little heat in it and see what happens. Yeah, that's good. By now with the other oil, the gauge would say 0. But that's good. We got 10. And, you know, 10 would be pretty sketchy to see in your car. But on one of these things, oh man, this will run for years like that. Good. But it's still not really warm yet. Let's go pick up some wood. There's something definitely not right with the governor on this thing. It's really slow to react. Oh boy. Oh well. We're back here now. And we still got oil pressure. That's amazing. There we are. That's a tree that came down in the ice storm. We'll see if it can lift that up and how hard it is to steer once I lift that up. And we still have oil pressure. Wow. Yeah, she's a bit brutish on the steering with all that wood in the bucket, but not unmanageable. I'm pretty sure some, like I said before, some wide, flat car tires would help a lot with the steering situation. But for now, that's what we got. Oh, the sky actually looks a lot better now. And we still got oil pressure. Haha! So we got it warmed up, and idle, it still goes down to 0, but it's moving oil. There's something there. And if we speed it up, it comes up almost to 10. That's not bad. And this has been running for, I don't know, about 20 minutes now. So that's okay. We're good with that. And we got all done just as it started raining. So that was okay. Yeah, I like that thing. So things we have to address now is I gotta try a different governor on it, or take the governor back off of it and have a look at it again, see what's going on in it. And I would really like to find some better tires for the front of it that don't dig in as much. It might make it a little easier to steer. But anyway, I guess that brings us to the end of this one. That was a few good odd jobs we had to get done. The silly Kubota. I feel so dumb for getting the O-ring. I looked at all the fuel on the floor, and that's when like this light bulb went off in my head, and I said, I don't remember seeing an O-ring on that thing. And yeah, I was right. We found it in the drain bucket. Anyway, it's all good now. Whatever. Poo-poo happens. I've screwed up a lot worse than that in my day. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'd like to thank you for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you come and see us again sometime soon. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now.